Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today's episode, I'm thinking is going to be more like boulder-sized life advice. It's a big topic, and we're going to dive in. We're talking to my guest before we started recording, and we are aligned. We're on the same page, and we're having fun. So we're going to have a great conversation. But Marcy Axelrod, welcome to the show.
Brandon, such an honor to be here. Thank you.
So we're talking authenticity. It's a buzzword. It's an overused word. And I, quite frankly, am not a big fan of the word because people use it all over the place and they take it out of context. But why don't you tell me, for me, let's set the context of this conversation. What are you talking about with the word authenticity?
Well, I mean, I put level 3, truly showing up, on that word, which we can get into. But from just to start where people are, I mean, there's a lived experience that people have where your body is telling you, this is right. This is true to me, right? I am being honest. I am being integrous. And maybe there's some fear around it because there's concern about a response from someone, from a group. And it's probably very valid because it's learned, right? You don't have a fear of something out of the blue. Well, actually, maybe genetically and epigenetically we do, but often there's been a lived experience in a similar situation where someone has kind of made us feel small or degraded the comment, whatever it may be. So it can be hard for us to truly show up in our true self. And I'll tell you, Brandon, the most recent research I did, this data came back about 2 weeks ago, and it was female executives at a company with tens of thousands of people. It's a name that everybody knows. About 95+% of the responses, when asked, what is the greatest challenge in showing up as you choose? 95+% of these people said being authentic, being true to myself. I'm going to add one other thing. Deathbed reflections. Yes, everyone says, I wish I had spent less time at work. I wish I had been clearer with the people I loved. I love them and spent more time telling them that. But now what has come up to be added to that list? I wish I had lived a life that was truer to who I am, instead of chased after what society tells us, which are lies about what we need to be happy, successful, choose whatever metric.
I find that fascinating because if you think about the deathbed reflection part, looking back at, I wish I spent less time at work. I wish I told my loved ones I actually love them. I spent more time with them. Those make complete sense because in previous generations, all you really had was work and then retirement and then die. Very, very grim outlook. I'm being very depressed today. But you look at the last 30 years and we have more publicly lived lives, so to speak. We have social media, we have the internet. And it's interesting now that third sort of reflection is coming up because, and this is what the question to you is, do you think people are seeing other people's lives thinking they want that, so they act like that person, and then only at the end they realize, oh boy, that wasn't me. I chased somebody else's dreams. Like, is that where this is coming from?
I think judgment is where it's coming from. And the judgment can be actual, or the judgment can be in someone's own mind and body. I mean, the bottom line is there's a lived experience, right? And if something inside of you is feeling fear, you're going to end up showing up in this delegative way where you are delegating what is true to yourself to someone else because you need to be seen as, right? There's kind of 4 things that I think keep us stuck and inauthentic. One is I need to be seen as. So then you show up a certain way, a performative way to influence or try to control the judgment that someone else has. I'm better than, right? So then you behave a certain way. I'm lesser than, or some version of I deserve. All of those really mess things up. The truth is we're all of the earth, right? We all came here the same way. And frankly, the hopes and dreams of our parents when we were born are really all the same. You know, may this child be healthy. May this child be happy. May this child contribute to the world in some good way, right? Be a good human. It's society that takes that away and says you need to look like this and be like this and behave like this. Why? Because at some end of the rainbow, there's some version of money or a big house or a nice car. And then you can rest. So, you know, what I think we need to do is recognize the lies as lies and recognize what a human being is. So showing up, what I talk about, right? I put an easy model around how nature designed humans to show up. You know, everyone has some version of kind of, I know when like I really haven't shown up, that's bad. I call that being barely there, level 1. I know that there's some version of good, right? You're like, that was awesome. It felt great. Some kind of success metric was realized. Level 3, that's truly showing up. There are 2 things that people miss. One is that 80% of us, 80% of the time, according to my 20 years of research, do what's in the middle of those 2. It's level 2, and it's called just showing up. This is, you get up, you just start doing it. You're living remote control life. You're sleepwalking. You're there, you're not. You're there, you're not. We can talk about what level 2 is, but that's the no man's land that leads us to look back and think, what the hell is going on with my life? I'm not who I want to be. But I said there were 2 things that people miss. That last one's big, but the other one is that people don't fundamentally understand that we have 2 attention systems. One that's based on control and power over, and most of us, it controls the right arm. Everything we do is these little bits, it's pieces, boop, 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 boop. Nothing's connected and nothing has meaning. And humans are objects to be acted on. But the other control system in our right hemisphere, this is the one that sees the bigger picture, Brandon. This is the one that sees how you and feels how you are drinking me in right now. What I'm saying, how I'm saying it, how I'm moving, the tone, timbre, tenor of my voice, and you're feeling it. This is the one that makes us human to human and that integrates us. And this is the feeling of meaning that our lives are supposed to have. And what's really going on here, this is the presencing that people are striving for when they go, they try to be mindful or they meditate. This is the depth of presencing where you're changing my chemistry right now and I'm changing yours. The oxytocin's going up, the dopamine's going up, the serotonin's going up, the cortisol, the stress hormone's going down. Anything that would fracture your focus is gone. You are truly right here. So I call this our situation member role. You're in all 3 roles right now. Your individualized self. You're with me deeply presencing within the situation. But you're also recognizing you're a member of something well beyond just you, your home, your family, this podcast, this moment. You're going to take this with you. This experience is in you now. And you're going to give it to the rest of the world for as long as you live. So right now, you are truly showing up in all 3 roles at level 3 because of what I explained, because you switched from your left into your right hemisphere. And it's very important that people start to understand you have a choice in how you attend to every moment.
Yeah, this is fascinating to me. This is why I absolutely love this podcast, because I get to have these conversations. But so is that a conscious decision? Are you saying that I made to do that, or do people sort of lack that skill. So walk me through that, because it comes very natural for me. I am able to be very present, have a conversation, and be there. But I'm also able to go get things done at the same time. Like walk me through that process.
Right. So is it a conscious choice? I'd also like to comment on your choice of the word there instead of here. Language deceives us, and we're wired to think in words, and the words dissociate us from ourselves. They dissociate us from nature. Nature's there, we're here, not we are nature. The environment is out there. No, Brandon, you are my environment right now, and I am yours. Regarding conscious choice, and there's a lot to say there, but I'm going to be conscious of our time, because there's a whole book that explains this called How We Choose to Show Up. Is this a choice that you made? So in that particular moment, you were made. There was a subconscious choice that was made. So I'm going to say no, you didn't choose. Your body chose for you, and it's because you were discerning the depth of nuance, the Marciness, right? The humanness that I was exuding. And you do it with everybody. It's not just me. And you're making a choice of the depth of, in essence, connected attending, and I'm pointing to my right hemisphere for people listening, of right hemisphere attending that is called for in this moment. There's a lot there that we can unpack, but what I want listeners to understand is you can learn to choose, right? And it's a simple question. How am I choosing to show up? How do I want to show up right here, right now? And you can shift. And what I demonstrated, I'm going to do it again right now. Ready? Brandon, what I demonstrated was a shift that brought you in with me and for me in this moment. So instead of being to each other, we're with and for. This is part of the Show Up lexicon. And it utilizes the depth of human perceiving that we're all born with. Right? Humans only survived because we could see a stranger approach from 50 feet away, way back when we lived in tribes thousands of years ago. And you could perceive in a millisecond, friend or foe, right? So that's the same perceiving that you used. When I shifted into my connected system, it brought you in, and you felt that pull, probably not consciously. Right. But I'm going to stop there because I can feel your questions arising.
It's not so much a question as what you said there is fascinating, because that's what our human op technology does is the pre-language and even, pre-modern civilization, if you will, the seeing of another human being was ingrained in us, in our nature. We've only evolved, I'll say, out of that because of language, where I can see you and determine friend or foe because of your physical nature. And I love what you're saying, because it's also a very conscious decision, and it's felt, not measured, so to speak.
Yes.
Does that make sense? That's what went through my head at that moment. Is it's interesting that as human beings, we've gotten so far from this.
Yes. And I want to raise a few other words that you just used but didn't consciously choose. You used a word related to the mind, right? It's embodied, it's intuitive, right? Let's talk about being authentic and being true to yourself. We feel these things in our bodies. When you can't be authentic with your family, your friends, your boss, it's because there's an intuition that is letting you know there is a lack of safety here. There is a lack of trust. When trust breaks down, everything breaks down. Believe me, I've spent the last 7 months trying to rebuild trust with my daughter, who's now 15, who recently came back from a mental health rehabilitation center where she was for 9 months. And that was quite the lived experience for both of us. When you can't show up, or you look back on your life and you think, wow, I've been in performance mode for so long. Why? It's because there was a lack of trust. You were feeling judged. You were succumbing to a set of beliefs about how the world works that you need to write down and say, is this true? Literally, I want everyone after this podcast, take out a piece of paper and write down, I'm told that I need to look a certain way and show up a certain way and behave a certain way and all of these things and have these things. And just ask yourself, is that the life that I want? Because it's not, we don't need those things, and they take away our moments of lived experience, and that's all we've got. So go back to our intuitive truth, right? It isn't just that when we see someone we know, trust or not trust. You can actually be touched on your forearm for a single second by someone you don't know, and with 68+% accuracy, know the emotion that person is feeling. They're giving you their emotion. This is the work of Dacher Keltner at the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. There was a velvet curtain between people, and someone's forearm was exposed and they were touched. And the emotions it isn't, anger, happy, sad. It was nuanced. It was nostalgia. It was gratitude. And you know what they feel. So getting back into our perceptual system is what we need to be able to recognize, whoa, I'm in performance mode. How am I choosing right now to show up to it? Am I going to reset my nervous system, which you can do with just a few deep breaths? You can do it in, when you're with someone in a meeting. Like, you don't have to go disappear for 20 minutes and meditate. You can just get yourself slightly more into your parasympathetic nervous system, and then say, I'm going to show some skepticism about what this person is saying. And I'm going to say, tell me more about that. I don't have to show up in their face like, yo, Joe, like, I just disagree. No, you can just say, like, let's play this out. Like, how do you think this is going to flow through our supply chain? How do you think, what is this person going to feel? Right? Is this the only option we have? Live in your questions more, and you'll be living in your truth more.
I love this. Are you also bridging the gap into, it's not a gap. Are you bridging into quantum physics when you're talking about touching and feeling emotions? Are we going quantum entanglement on this episode? Marcy, where are we going?
I love those questions. So what I want you to do, clarify a little bit for the audience exactly what you're asking, and I will absolutely answer.
So feeling what somebody else is feeling. I guess with touch, you're kind of getting beyond the quantum nature of it, but the essence of quantum physics is that molecules or particles are attached.
Yep.
Or related to each other without being in the same environment. So you're getting away from that when you say touching, but still the ability to feel somebody else's from emotion from a small touch without seeing them. We're connected on a different level at that point. Is that what you're saying?
We are, and I think that people inherently know this to be true. This is nature. We are nature. Okay, it doesn't mean that God didn't create us if you're a believer, but we can see a stranger across the street for a millisecond and have a darn good sense how they feel. And this is actually one of the recommendations that I have for practicing truly showing up, that level 3. I tell people each day, just stop and find someone across the office, across the street, in the parking lot, in the store, and just look at them. Just look at them. Do they seem stressed? What do you think they're doing? Oh, they're choosing a medication. Did they have a sick child? You know, my daughter was sick last week too. Wow. And what you start to notice quickly, very quickly, is you start to feel what they feel. And the phrase that comes up in my mind is a parallel with one of the most effective compassion meditations out there. And it's called Just Like Me. When you, and you know, a lot has been studied on this. You become an open-hearted person, you become happier, you become healthier. You just look at that person. Wow, they're rushed. I was rushed I was rushed too. It feels awful. And I ended up tripping, and I broke this and I dropped that, and I didn't show up the way that I wanted. And then I looked back and I was like, oh my God, who was I? I hope that person doesn't have this experience. Because right now that, you know, I'm feeling what they feel. It's just like me. So the other thing that you're practicing when you notice how others are showing up is not judging. And as you notice maybe a judgment come up and you're like, no, that's wrong, and you let it go, you become more authentic. You become more who you want to be. And then when you feel judgment from others, it doesn't live in you, Brandon, the same way. You can say, really? Do I want to give that power over me such, strength? No, I'm going to let that go. And you start to feel the humanness in the judger. You know, maybe the boss is just rushed. Maybe the boss has a sick daughter at home. You know, and then wow, weren't they telling me they're concerned about their mother who's an elder who might have to go to a care center? Wow. And then you show up differently. So call it quantum, call it whatever, but we feel others. And what truly showing up is about is reconnecting with our own humanness, with the moment, and with others.
Yeah, it's powerful, especially the judgment piece. You know, there's a shift that happens when you judge people, and it's more negative on you than it ever will be on them. And it's hard to disassociate from that, but it's a process, and it's worth it to say, why am I feeling this way? And do I need to? Is that going to make anybody's life better? I only judge people for two reasons: what airline they fly and what hotel they stay in. Outside of those things, I'm pretty neutral. I'm kidding.
That's
I'm kidding.
Beautiful.
But I'm also not kidding. But okay, Marcy, I have to ask you this last question because, and then I'll let you go. And for the listeners, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that this is a longer episode because this is amazing. So I hope you're on this journey with us. But there's obviously a neon question mark behind me. I love asking questions. I find that there are some people who are not so in touch with their being, we'll say.
Yep.
If I ask a question, triggers them and they don't know why, and then boom, they're immediately in anger. So
Wow.
do you find that with people that they're not aware of how they're showing up, and they're not aware of what's triggering them, what's being sort of stirred up inside of them, and then we shut down? Like you're out of your brain at that point. You're all in your body. How do we bring ourselves to a level of awareness to say, I'm feeling this way because, and I choose to not go to that place? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. I have a whole chapter on that, because the skill for our self role is grounding. And I have a whole it's chapter 9 of the book that explains what grounding is. So people who don't choose or don't even recognize they're choosing. So when I was writing the book, one of the massive surprises was that even massively successful people with hundreds of millions of dollars that they've earned themselves, people literally who worked in the White House under some of our recent presidents, came to me and said, oh my God, you're right. We're choosing how we show up. They didn't recognize there's a choice. And the choice is really, which attention system are we showing up with? The get it done mode, which is the one that goes into anger, or the connected one, which is the one that sees the context and the flow of life and the connectedness and the oneness, because this is the one that creates a sense of meaning. So did I answer your question about, and I can answer more about why people might be angry. Would you like me to? Because it lateralizes
do that.
left.
And while
Anger
we're doing that too,
left. Yeah.
I'm assuming choose2showup.com is where people can go grab a copy of the book.
Yes, choose2showup.com or straight to Amazon. And there's a contact form. I love hearing from people because everyone has things to say. I was recently stopped at this gym. An elder was with an infant and was staring at the infant. And I said, so beautiful. You are deeply with. And he said, I've never been in the moment. I've never felt I was truly here. And he found me and he wrote to me and he said, Marcy, I can't let it go. Can you help me? I want to be with my granddaughter who you saw me with, and I can't even feel her. So people do reach out to me, and I said, I'd love to meet with you and get you started on this journey. That's
amazing. Well, then let's cancel the anger talk, because that's a beautiful feeling. If people could just get themselves to that feeling, I think that's incredible. And this is definitely not the last time Marcy's going to be on the show. So we'll just, assuming you want to come back, I don't want to force you to that, but this was fantastic, Marcy. I really appreciate it. And what do you hope people get out of the book? Again, it's on the screen. It's in the show notes down below. Who do you want to go grab a copy, and what do you hope they get out of it?
Oh, I want people to choose how they're showing up, and with the outcome metric of looking back and saying, I lived the life I was meant to live.
Amazing. Truly amazing. Marcy, thank you so much for being here.
Brandon, one team.
I love it. For those of you listening, the links, everything down in the show notes below, wherever you're watching or listening. I appreciate you sticking with us. I hope you love this episode. If you did, give me a comment, give me a like, give me a dislike. It's okay. I'm open to all of it. We want to learn and get better. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Harmonious at Lunch podcast. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we want to invite you to join us in the Small Business Success Facebook group, our private group where guests and listeners come together to grow your business. We want impact-driven entrepreneurs who are ready to go to the next level in this group so we can all share ideas, collaborate, and grow our businesses together. Go to whatif.com/group, and we want to invite you to join today. See you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.